Hello and welcome to Brickwork Greetings Knowledge Session Series 1, Episode 4. We have today with us a very eminent guest from the market who will be talking to us about the recent debt market events and the debt funds and also the trends going ahead. Let me take a moment to introduce him briefly. We have with us Mr. Joydeep Singh. He has worked in the financial industry for 25 years. Um, and of this, the last 13 years were with BNP Paribas in the Wealth Management Department as Senior Vice President, Advisory Desk Fixed Income. Prior to BNP, he has worked with various other companies as well. And now he is pursuing his own passion of being a writer, columnist, and also, analyzing the debt market in its depth. He writes columns regularly in various financial publications. He has till now 234 articles in publications like Mint, Money Control, Financial Express, ET Market, Business Standard, Outlook Money, The Hindu, Cafe Mutual, and so on. Also, he has authored 4 books. I know it's getting too much to do in this span of time, but yet he has written 4 books. One is Fixed Income Markets in India, Investment Opportunities for You, Mutual Funds in India, Vehicle for Fixed Income Investment. 3, Open Your Eyes to Management Lessons Around Us. 4, Wealth Management, a Guidance for Affluent and Middle Income Class. Not just this, he has also done a lot of trainings for Crystal, NISM, CEL, AWMI, and certain mutual funds. He is a visiting faculty at a couple of business schools as well in Bombay, and he's a certified financial planner from Kolkata. He is awarded with very important 2 significant dice, which are 100 most influential BFSI leaders by BFSI Congress in Feb 2019 and Financial Services Marketing Professional in November 2019. I guess there was a lot of to take. Let's hear from him. Over to you, sir. A very warm welcome to you to this session and looking forward for your insights.
Thank you, Ria, for the generous introduction. Good evening, viewers. So today we will discuss the topic of the recent debt market events and the impact on debt funds. So over the past 1 month or little more than a month, there have been queries in the minds of debt fund investors as to what is happening in the debt market, what to do, why all this is happening and all that. We will discuss that. But yes, to clarify at the outset, the debt market has seen much more volatile periods earlier. So as an example, 2013. In 2013, the market was much more volatile. Things were much more here and there. From that perspective, now we're in a relatively stable kind of market scenario. So we will just unravel it as we go through the course of this small presentation. So what has been happening? In August, September 20, that is the last 1 month or little more than 1 month, the bond market went through volatility. So to represent the volatility in terms of numbers, we will take the 10-year benchmark government security yield for our reference purposes. Now, what is this 10-year benchmark yield? This is the yield in the secondary market of the 10-year benchmark government security. Now, this is not relevant for all purposes or for all funds. So to give you an example, if we have invested in a debt fund with a portfolio maturity of 3 years, then 3-year G-Sec is more relevant than 10-year. Just to give an example, if you have invested in a short duration fund or corporate bond fund or a banking principal fund of a 3 or 4-year portfolio maturity, then 3-4-year G-Sec is more relevant. But since people are used to refer to 10-year, we will talk of the 10-year benchmark government security yield for our ease of understanding. So we will just see some data in a tabular format as to how things moved. So as you can see from the table, in August 10th of August, it was 5.89, the 10-year benchmark yield. 26th August, it was 6.2. Now, as you can see, it came down to 5.89% on September 3, and now it is again up to 6.03%. And what you cannot see, in early August, the 10-year yield was like about 5.79, 5.8%. So from 5.8% to 6.2 towards end of August, down to 5.89, and now again up to 6.03. Some volatility, but again, as I said, not as much as in say 2013. This is the last 1 year movement. So in July, so more than a year ago, the 10-year yield was 7%. And from there, that is from July 19 till today, yields have come down significantly. Then what is this volatility? If you look at the last bit, see from here it went up to here 6.2, now down here 5.9, again up to 6.03. So today we are discussing this last bit of the graph, this bit of volatility. But if you take a broad perspective from 1 year ago, or more than 1 year ago, which is July 19, from July 19 till August, September 20, yields have eased significantly. So what all has been happening? So we discussed this data just now from 5.8 to 6.2 down and again back to 6.03. Now in the bear phase, as in 10-year yield moving from 5.80 to 6.2% or thereabouts, this bear movement discounted a clutch of negative events or events perceived as negative, which is why yields went up. Just to remind you, yield and price move inversely. So when yields move up, prices come down. So what all happened in the market? What are those negative events or events perceived as negative? So we'll just take a look. Inflation is one important parameter, one major parameter for the bond market. The way people look at it, the way investors look at it, the way RBI looks at it. And this inflation data print came on the higher side, which is a concern for the market. So what was the data point? 6.93 for July, released in second week of August. But it was not only about the data point, data print of 6.93% for July, which was released in August. Inflation in the quarter Jan to March was higher than 6%. And inflation in the quarter April to June also was higher than 6%. And this is significant. First month of this quarter, as in we discussed Jan-March quarter, then we discussed and what steps are being taken to control it. Now this explanation in terms of a letter to the the July data, which was 6.93 declared in second week of August, that also was higher than 6%, 6.93. So that is the thing. First quarter of this calendar year, Jan to March, higher than 6. Second quarter of this calendar year, April, June, higher than 6. And first month of this quarter, that is July, August, September quarter, that also is higher than 6%. And this is significant, and we will just see why this is significant.
Hi, sir. I have again lost you.
High. So what is the definition of high inflation? So there is an agreement signed between the government of India and the RBI that if inflation is higher than 6% for 3 consecutive quarters, the RBI has to give an explanation in writing to the government as to why inflation is high and what steps are being taken to control it. So what is the definition of high inflation in India? There's a target of 4% called the central target. So it is 4% plus minus 2, 4% plus minus 2 on either side. So it is 2% on the lower side and 6% on the higher side. So on the higher side, which is 6%, the agreement says if it is higher than 6% for 3 consecutive quarters, then the RBI has to give an explanation in writing to the government of India as to why it is high. Now, this explanation may not be very difficult, may not be, as I've said, a mountain in this challenging situation. Now, we all know that because of this pandemic and COVID, economic growth has been for a toss, and we're in a challenging situation, so we need to do whatever we can. So RBI has cut rates. So this explanation may not be very difficult, may not be a mountain in this situation, but it implies that the RBI is not going to ease rates in the immediate term. So RBI has eased in the recent past. They have cut repo rate by 1.15% in the recent past from March onwards. And they have also made the reverse repo rate, the operational rate, which means effectively the overnight rate is even lower, repo rate 4% and reverse repo 3.35%. The operation is 3.35% of the reverse repo rate. So they have done all that. And if required, they will explain to the government of India, but it means in the immediate term, RBI is unlikely to cut rates. So this is one reason why yields went up in the market. The discounting that the RBI would not cut rates in the next policy review led to hardening of yields. That is one reason as to why yields went up. So what are the other things? The minutes of the RBI review held on 6th August was released on 20th of August. So on the day of the meeting, we have the text of the RBI thing. And then 2 weeks later, we have the detailed minutes. So the statements of the members, there are 6 members of the MPC, the Monetary Policy Committee. So market perceived it as not so dovish. Dovish means inclined towards rate cuts. So this statement unnerved the market that the inclination of the committee is not towards rate cuts. At least the inflation is on the wrong side of 6%. So we discussed two things. One is inflation being consistently higher than 6, and secondly, the statement of the members of the MPC, which showed that they are not as dovish, which means they are not favoring rate cuts, at least in the immediate term, as long as inflation is more than 6%. Then what happened? The tenure of the current committee has come to an end. So there is a committee which comprises 3 people from RBI, our governor and deputy governor, and 3 external members nominated by the government of India onto RBI. So the new committee will be formed and there will be 3 new external members. What's the issue with that? The issue is that as of now does not know who are the 3 new members and what will be their approach towards rate cuts or rate action. So 3 things: inflation going up, RBI minutes not so dovish, and formation of a new monetary policy committee. That's when yields went up from 5.8 to 6.2 on 10-year benchmark. And how did yields ease? What happened? The RBI stepped in. The RBI announced OMO. OMO means open market operations. So wherein they will purchase government securities. So in this particular OMO, called Operation Twist in market language, they purchased long-dated securities around 10-year maturity G-Secs and sold shorter tenure, that is 1-year securities. So what is happening here? When the RBI is purchasing 10-year maturity government securities, across 10-year, it means they are generating additional demand for 10-year maturity, which means support to the market, support to 10-year, which means 10-year yield coming down and 10-year bond yields moving up. And 1 year is already very liquid, yields are already very low. That's not an issue for the market to absorb. This is called twist in market parlance because the RBI is trying to, in a way, twist the yield curve. They are trying to bring down the 10-year benchmark government security yield. So that helped. And the RBI took some more measures. In G-Sec primary auctions, the RBI devolved 10-year issue, 10-year government security on primary dealers, even though it was well bid. So what does it mean? There is a primary auction of G-Secs held every Friday. And before every Friday, before the auction, there is an underwriting done by primary dealers, these PDs. And in case the RBI does not like the yield levels, as in the market participants like banks, insurance companies, if they bid at a high yield level, RBI has the choice, has the option to default this thing on primary dealers. So the PDs have to take it at whatever yield is the cutoff decided by the RBI. So this is a signal to the market that RBI is not comfortable with higher yields. So PDs, primary dealers. That was one more signal. And on 31st August, RBI brought a slew of measures which actually pumped the market. RBI gave a positive view on inflation and reiterated the commitment to liquidity and financing conditions. So RBI said inflation will come down going forward, maybe 3 months, 6 months down the line. There is a favorable base effect. Monsoon has been good. Crop plantation has been good. So what did they announce? Some more OMO, Operation Twist in September, apart from August. Further term repo of rupees 1 lakh crore. So big support to the market. And then the last point, HTM increased from this much to this much. What does it mean? Bank treasury portfolios has 3 categories. So out of this HTM, held till maturity means it is held till maturity, and on this HTM component, there is no mark-to-market requirement, which means even if yields move up, prices come down, it does not impact the bank treasury, it does not impact the bank's books. So higher the HTM, it helps banks because that component of the portfolio, banks need not worry about bond price movement. Prices going up, down, whatever, it does not matter. So this was increased from 19.5% to 22% of NDTL, that is net demand and time liabilities. So this measure helped as a morale booster for the market, that for a larger component of the portfolio, the banks are saved from the hassles of mark-to-market as in yields going up or yields coming down. So all these measures helped. So what because prices are going up? Now, there were concern among investors when yields were moving up. So like we saw, 5.8 to 6.2. When yields are coming down, prices going up, of course, everybody is happy. So having discussed the last 1 month or so, what is the view going forward? The RBI has stated they will be supportive and they will do whatever it takes. Now, what is the meaning of this whatever it takes? There is a large government borrowing program. This year, we're going to have a large fiscal deficit, central government, state governments. we have a lot of government borrowing actually happening, a huge government borrowing, which means pressure on the market, and the RBI has been 6% and all those things. But yes, maybe 3 months, 6 months, 9 months on the line, as long as growth is a challenge, RBI may cut rates further, and the other support, OM1, other support of the market for the government securities borrowing program. So at the end of it, what is my message to investors? Ideally, investors should not be disturbed by these movements, because some volatility will always be there in the market. Just to remind viewers that a mutual fund is a medium for investment in the market. So whatever is happening in the market, mutual fund NAVs will go up and down. However, as long as the investment horizon is adequate to long, there is no need to worry. Why? Because over a long horizon, two things happen. One is, in a mutual fund, there's something called accrual. Accrual means the bonds carry a coupon. The coupon accrual happens. And second thing is, market cycles take care of themselves. Yields go up, yields come down, all these things happen. And over a long horizon, things tend to settle down. So net-net, why did I talk about all this volatility and movements and all that? I want to give a perspective as to what is happening in the recent past, like 1 month or so, but investors should be aware of what is happening. Investors need not react to everything. Whatever is happening, 5.8, 5.9, 6.2, 6, whatever, investors, as long as the fund quality is good and as long as they have an adequate horizon for the fund, just stay invested and don't have to react to everything. So I think that's about it from my side. So Ria, if you have any anything from you.
It was a very detailed insights about the current updates. Thank you so much for that. However, I have one small query. What would be your suggestion to the investors who are, having investments into mutual funds, maybe long and medium funds both? So, would your suggestion be to stay invested, or either to reshuffle, or maybe go with SIPs? Would be your suggestion? What would be your take?
Okay. Two different things here. One is the action point and secondly the SIP. On the action point, definitely stay invested. The reason is portfolio allocation is always relevant. So much in equity, so much in debt. Within debt, we have like short duration fund, as I said, long duration funds, everything is there. As long as you have the adequate horizon, like say 1 or 2 or 3 years for short duration fund, 5 years, 10 years for long duration fund, don't worry, just remain invested. Nothing has changed fundamentally. On the second thing, SIP. Now, SIP is about two things. One is not timing the market, like we say, SIP in equities. SIP is relevant for debt funds also, don't time the market. And second thing is, very simply, availability of money. For example, if it's a salaried individual, he or she has rupees so much every month. So like in equity fund SIP is relevant for debt funds also, rupees so much allocated every month to so much to equity and so much to debt. So whatever you have in debt or equity for that matter, just stay invested. Nothing has changed fundamentally. Everything remains more or less same. Just be aware and that's about it. Don't react to everything.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I think we could have a lot more sessions with you, understanding the current updates every once in a while. We thank you on the behalf of Brickwork Ratings as well for having such an amazing session with us. Also, one more request which I would like to make is once we host this whole session, we would definitely get a lot of queries from our viewers, and I would like you to respond to those on mail. So yeah, whoever please having any queries in terms of your investments, write down to us on www.investordesk@brickworkratings.com. Thank you so much for watching it, TV. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. My pleasure.